You're addressing the issue of the optimistic issue of revenue growth and opportunities and so forth. Where are you seeing these opportunities?
Well, I think there's basically three areas that any financial institution has to address in looking at their revenue picture. The first layer is really basic blocking and tackling. You know, do you have price points that are appropriate for the services you provide? Are your billing and charging systems adequate and robust enough? Because if you don't collect the money you're owed, that can create some significant holes in your revenue picture. And finally, you've got to make sure that the terms and conditions that your pricing applies to are applied. Often we will, discount deals based on volume commitments from clients and things of that nature. And there is an audit process to ensure that those terms and conditions are met on a consistent basis. That's layer one. Layer two is to make sure that you have new product constantly coming through the pipeline and augmenting your legacy revenue streams with additional revenue streams. If you look at areas like cross-border payments, particularly liquidity management in this day and age, and another huge area is going to be collateral optimization and collateral management. Those are just three examples of areas where the revenue potential has not even begun to be realized. The cross-border payments is just driven by the globalization of our client base. These days, down to the SME segment. Everyone's going global on an increasing basis, and so cross-border payments are becoming an increasingly important part of our value proposition.
Right.
The drivers from Basel, from Dodd-Frank around liquidity management means that there are some creative solutions that can be presented to the market that open and tap into new revenue streams as well.
But presumably, even though we're talking about globalization, the world isn't yet as homogeneous as some people think it is. There must be differences in different markets, different stages of development, and different appropriate levels of product and support. How do you see that?
Well, actually, there's an opportunity there also, because as you move into markets that require special accommodations, and especially as you move into markets where there's an FX component to the transaction, your revenue stream is broadened significantly in some cases. So I think, you get tightened on some ends of the market, but at the same time, new market segments that are coming on stream offer you opportunities for premium price points.
But the other thing about that, the globalization and the opening of new markets, is the entrance of new competitors as well.
Absolutely, and I think that's good for us. I think it makes us refine our propositions and get a little bit sharper. And I think the thing that differentiates it for the time being is access to the clearing and settlement systems. That's still primarily the province of the banks, and even the new competitors have to use the banks for clearing and settlement. So I think that proposition is a competitive edge that the banks will continue to hold for the foreseeable future.
Even though some regulators in some jurisdictions, including the UK, are talking about having a more open access.
Yeah, they're talking about it, but there are some things implicit in that, like collateral requirements. Your systems have to pass a certain standard to be able to do that. And then the third leg that I wanted to mention in terms of, sharpening your revenue profile has to do with looking at a solutions approach to your institutional clients, your corporate clients, and introducing a value-based pricing band, not to replace the price times value pricing that goes with most transaction banking services, but to augment it based on establishing a benchmark and looking at a client's receivables proposition or payables proposition, benchmarking it, seeing the improvement that's realized as a result of the services and products that are offered, and going to value-based pricing as we segue more into a solutions approach to our clients' needs.
And one of the other overlay matrices you were talking about earlier on is the difference between the different customer bases, the retail, the wholesale, the consumer payment space even nowadays?
Yeah, and I think there are so many moving parts, and if you look at segmentation and sub-segmentation, there are some clear areas where the revenue growth is going to continue to expand. I think if you look in the e-commerce marketplace, and as e-commerce gets traction, the benefits and the opportunities apply not just to your payment space, but to spaces like e-billing, e-invoicing. Once again, it supports the cross-border payments propositions. So there are some hotspots out there that offer, by definition, opportunities for banks to extend their value proposition and maintain the revenue streams.
So the conclusion is do the basics right, and then look around, there are plenty of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You've got to look at all three of those legs as you move ahead.
That's great. Thanks very much, Harold.
All right, thank you.